Everybody give it up for Scheana.
Crystal clear now.
Yes, we are so excited to talk to Scheana about My Good Side. How are you feeling?
Excited, but a little nervous. I mean, I've been doing interviews for a week now, but this is the first one in front of a live audience, so.
This is the first stop on the book tour. Nerves, excitement to see all these people, to get the reactions from the book?
Yeah, I'm just happy people came.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course.
I mean, you never know when you're doing a live show. Like, are people going to come?
It's true. They are here, and they are ready to hear all about My Good Side, and we're ready to hear about it too.
Okay.
Now, we want to know, you're not calling this a tell-all, but you're calling it a tell it right.
Yes.
What inspired you to tell your side, your life in this book?
I feel like with a reality show, you only get one side of me. People think they know everything about me from watching a show, but there's so much more. And I felt the need to detail this all in the book. I am an open book. I don't hold back. I hope I don't regret that one day, but it's all in there. The good, the bad, everything in between. And yeah, I'm really proud of what I've done.
Exactly. And I think everyone was wondering why now for this book, right? You've written all of your thoughts, feelings, some very, very serious life moments that you haven't shared anywhere else. So why now share the story?
I felt like it was finally time. I have had a running note tab in my phone for a decade. One day when I write a book, I'm gonna have this chapter. It's gonna be called this, and I'm gonna go all in about this. And it was funny because when I met with my agents and we talked about a potential book deal, I went in my notes and there were so many things that 9-10 years ago I thought were so important. And I'm like, there's no way we're putting that in the book. So it just kind of felt like the time was right. I always said when Vanderpump Rules is done, I'm gonna write a book. And then it kept getting picked up. So thankful, you know. But I realized this show could go on forever. Why am I waiting to write a book? I have so much to say. And it's a long process from the first meeting to the day it comes out. It could be like 2 years. So we started this a little over a year and a half ago. And I couldn't have timed this better if I tried. When we announced the date for the book, I had no idea when The Valley would be airing. It's the season finale tomorrow. I'm like, oh, that's a coincidence.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
Yeah, just felt right.
Yeah, and we know you from reality TV. We know you from your podcast. But now we're getting to see a whole other side of you. What would you say is the biggest difference from Scheana in this book versus the Scheana we've seen on our TV for years?
This Scheana is the whole story. This is everything you didn't get on the show and more. There's a lot of BTS. There's more explanations of why I am the way I am, things I went through in my childhood, just my upbringing. And I felt like there was just such a story to tell that has not been told on the show. I talk about things on my podcast. I have my YouTube channel. But there's just a different reach when you put it all in a book. You put it all on the show. And I have no editing control when it comes to the show. So I put it in the book.
Yeah, how does that feel now that Vanderpump Rules, you know, different cast, maybe you guys have moved on from this and you didn't have editing control, but do you miss it?
No, because I still got my fix with The Valley last season. So it was like I didn't skip a beat. I got to come in as not a main character, which was really fun. It was like, yeah, it was a bit of a relief. I didn't have to carry any of the storyline. I was involved in the drama, but more from the sideline, you know, just like light a fire and then run away.
Right. I was like, let's call Scheana.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I know. And that's the thing. It's like, these are my friends. So people saying I'm so thirsty to get on The Valley and I'm trying so hard and that's why I'm putting this book out and this and that. I'm like, first of all, the book has been in the works for a long time, since I think before they even filmed the first season.
And you mentioned meeting Janet in the book too, years ago. So really you have known a lot of them for a very long time.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, now with popping up as a friend of, you know, you just mentioned people are like, oh, Scheana's thirsty, she wants to be on The Valley. Would you join The Valley though?
I mean, if it makes sense and there's an offer there, then, you know, I'm trying to say yes to more things. That's why I ended up in a bat costume on national television singing Espresso.
Exactly. And it was amazing. I loved reading the book because you do get to see those early years, because where Vanderpump picked up for you, there were so many years prior of you hustling in Hollywood, working, getting jobs, doing all these things. And we didn't really get to see or hear that much about that on Vanderpump. What's one moment from your Hollywood hustle, that grind, that really is just like sticks out to you? You'll never forget it.
I mean, honestly, the auditions. I will never forget having to drive from Hollywood to Santa Monica, back to Hollywood, all before sometimes a lunch shift, a dinner shift, just the actual hustle when I was gonna say interviews, when auditions were in person, when you went in front of casting directors. Now everything's on Zoom, it's not the same. So I am thankful that I had those experiences, and yeah, I'll never forget that. Just going from audition to audition, changing in the car, all of the things.
Yes.
Yeah, and we know that you were auditioning for TV shows, movies. You had spots. You know, we saw you at Jonas Con, which was so exciting.
That was
the
so
Pizza
fun.
Girl, of
Pizza
course.
Girl.
And you had a lot of run-ins with celebrities as well. You talk about that in your book. You talk about past hookups as well, which I think everybody in this room wants to know a little bit more about. You've mentioned, I do.
Because you name names.
Because you name names in this book.
I did. I didn't give details,
No details.
about all of them, but I was like, let's just rattle off some names.
But there are some names. A couple of them stand out to me. I have to be honest. John Mayer has been talked about before.
Yes.
Multiple times. What's that like when you then go see Andy, who's very good friends with John Mayer?
Right. So during the commercial breaks, we always have like a little kiki, and I'm like, so Andy, do you want me to tell you something else? And I mean, he loves it.
And did John talk about this publicly? Because isn't he trying to like act like this didn't happen?
I saw some story or something where they're like, oh, he hasn't come forward, and whatever it was, I forget.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're lucky I didn't say more in the book.
You're like, we were both there. We know what happened.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the two of us. There were other people involved often, so
Often.
I come
So
with
that was, it was
receipts, witnesses.
Yeah. So it was multiple times.
Oh, yeah. Like multiple times over 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. We learn something new every day.
Okay, am I like slipping out of this dress, or can anyone see my nipple?
Not from our angle.
All of a sudden you started talking about John Mayer and you were slipping out. But you mentioned Adrienne Grenier as well. I'm a big Entourage fan, so this one
I mean,
me and
same.
Fran both stopped. We were like, wait, what?
Rhea and I were reading this together, and you guys will see it all. There's one sentence where I went, oh my God. It's just because the list is so funny to see, but that was one that popped out.
It was like bingo, like you were just calling out numbers.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
Adrienne, hey.
I was an extra on Entourage for a couple seasons, and so I was always there. I was one of their featured model extras. So I got paid like double SAG. I got to eat lunch with all of the actors. I was treated as if I was on the show. I just had no lines ever. But if you go back and watch, it's like, oh, there's Scheana. There's Scheana. It's like, where's Waldo? And so sometimes with some of them, you know, we would hang out after hours. And the Mondrian Hotel, you know, a lot of hookups has happened there.
It's our favorite place to
if that
stay.
hotel could talk, really.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
It's seen some.
They've seen some things with me.
So he was just Vince in real life.
You know what? Honestly, no. And that's why it didn't go further. Yeah. It was different. And I was like, I think I should go home now.
They're like, hey, Mom, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Please come pick me up.
So I did not stay the night, but, you know, we crossed some bases.
Now that hey, the name gets put in the book. That's
Yeah.
100%. But you also detail through that early, you know, scandal, you would call it, right? Like with Eddie and everything that went down with Brandy and getting on the show and kind of that experience of being the other woman. What was it like kind of living it as you had to write it all out? And what's the perspective on it now so many years later?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to put this in perspective that I met Eddie almost 20 years ago.
Crazy.
Wow.
Okay, this was 2006. I had just graduated college. Camera phones don't exist. iPhones haven't even been created yet. it was such a different time. I didn't even have a laptop. Like I literally had to walk down to the internet cafe when I had an audition to print out my sides. So I certainly wasn't thinking, let me go and Google this hot actor who I just met who doesn't wear a wedding ring and kisses me in public. Why would I think he was married?
Right. Yeah.
So years later, reflecting on all of this, I was actually surprised at how many details I remembered from those times because I couldn't tell you what I ate for lunch 3 days ago, yet I remember 19 years ago with this man. But reliving it, it is cathartic to write a book. Recording the audio book, there were certain chapters that were really challenging for me to have to read out loud. It's much easier when I'm just like nails to a keyboard and just reading it in my head. But then there were certain sentences where I write it and I'm like, okay, this sounds like really smart of me, but I have to say it out loud. And I feel like my journalism degree kicks in when I'm writing. But then when I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know if that sounds like me. Does that sound right? And so we rewrote a lot of things, but I think ultimately it's a really good book, an easy read. I just did Amanda Hirsch's podcast, and she told me she finished it in less than 48 hours.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
we did too.
So everyone knows what they're doing tonight, right?
Yeah. It definitely is. But what I also love about it, because there are so many celebrity memoirs that are out there that when you read it, you're like, I don't hear the person through the book. You're like, this maybe was written by somebody else, or they're retelling the story, but it's marketed as a memoir. But reading this, I was like, this feels like Scheana. I can hear Scheana through the writing, which is really cool. And not a lot of people do that.
No, totally. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I did work with a collaborator. This is my first book. I don't know how to structure a book. I may be a great storyteller and writer, but the semicolons, the dashes, how long are chapters? I don't know how to structure a memoir. So I'm like, I need a partner with someone who can help me structure this. But it is 100% my words, my writing, and I think you can obviously tell that it is my voice. There were parts where when my manager was reading it, he's like, I think you say iconic too much in this book. And I'm like, but that was iconic.
So you're like, that's exactly how I describe it.
And then we searched it, and it was only twice. I was like, they're staying in.
Yeah. There you go. You've opened up about so much in this book. You've opened up about personal losses, your struggle with fertility and other issues. What did you learn about yourself and your strength while writing this book?
That's exactly it, that I am a really strong bitch. I am. And that's the thing. I mean, when you suffer a pregnancy loss, I went 35 years of my life, never got pregnant, never had a positive pregnancy test. Then all of a sudden I'm pregnant. I'm thinking of names, our life together. And then in just a few weeks, that's all taken from me. And I don't even have a proper way to say this other than it was such a mind fuck. And then getting pregnant again a month later, I was so blessed, but I was terrified the entire pregnancy. I didn't feel her move until 22 weeks, 5 days. I remember that moment, and I was like, oh, we have life, we are okay. I was terrified my entire pregnancy. And then going through a very traumatic birth, she comes out limp and blue and isn't making a sound for almost a full minute. It was the scariest minute of my life. And then I'm whisked off to the high-risk ICU. They're like, you now have HELP syndrome. I'm like, help me what? Excuse me? I skipped that chapter. I remember specifically getting an email from what to expect. And it was signs for preeclampsia and HELP syndrome. I'm like, don't have that. So I had no idea what was happening to me, but my whole body was in shock. My placenta was poisoning me. I couldn't encapsulate it and eat it like I wanted to. But it's okay. I just got postpartum OCD, not depression, so...
I think a lot of people are going to be able to connect with that story.
I hope so.
It is really important to share. And I know you were able to share a little bit of it on Vanderpump, and you talk about that as well, but not as much in as much detail as you would like to, which you can obviously now do in the book. So what do you hope that other women who have been through similar experiences feel when they get to read your story?
I hope they feel less alone. I hope they really just feel seen and heard, and that is why I love doing reality TV. There's so many parts that come with it that are so hard, but it's all worth it when you meet someone and they say, I got diagnosed with OCD because of you speaking out. I saw the signs for preeclampsia. Like whenever I know that I have helped someone, I'm like, this is why I keep doing it. It makes all the hate and all the trolls worth it when I know I'm actually making a difference for people.
Definitely, because I think OCD too is one of those things where people have they've heard it, they have a general idea, but there's a lot of maybe stereotypes about it.
Yeah.
You don't fully understand the extent that it can really affect somebody.
Exactly.
So I think it's really great that you were able to share that all in the book.
Yeah.
And I
definitely.
think people being able to watch anybody on TV or living the life that you live go through these struggles is super relatable and will help a lot of people.
Thank you.
You also opened up about other things within your marriage, which has made headlines in the past week. We saw your cover on Us Weekly as well. You learned that Brock had cheated on you while you were pregnant, and he came clean 2 years after that during the whole Miss of Scandoval, which was insane. And I think we were shocked to read it. I'm sure you guys were shocked to read it as well. Can you just take us a little bit through writing that in that book and deciding to share this story? Because you did keep it from everybody while filming, the last season of Vanderpump.
So I wanted to write it. It was actually, I think, the first full chapter that was written. But I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to make it into the book. The book sold with a very vague description of what this chapter could look like. So I was like, oh my God, I got a book deal without them even knowing my husband had an affair. We can just take this to the grave. But then I really sat back and thought about it. And I'm like, if I'm writing a memoir, I need to be an open book, literally about everything in my life. What's the point of writing a memoir if I'm not going to tell it all? And I felt like I would be extremely inauthentic to not be giving my full story. It would do a disservice to not only all of the readers, but also to myself. I wouldn't be fully proud of this book of work that I've put out there. And after multiple drafts of the chapter, there was just no way I wasn't going to put it in. And it was probably 8 months of conversations with Brock. When I read him the first draft of the chapter, he was like, absolutely not. It's not going in the book. And I was like, well, it might be.
You're like, well, not your decision after doing that.
Like, you did this. But he was like, no, if you're going to put it in the book, you need to say it all. He's like, you're trying to beat around the bush and you're being quite vague. Just say it all. So I did. I offered for him to read it before the final draft was due. He said, it's your story. I want to have no input on this. So just turn it in. And I said, okay. And then when I got the books about 2 weeks ago, I saw him reading it in the studio. And he was like, oh, wow, you really said it all.
Yeah,
I'm like, you told me to add more details.
Honey, you told me to, so.
Yeah.
But you're right, because it does create this conversation immediately of, oh, she didn't share it until now, and all these things. But imagine if you did put out a full memoir of your life, and then later this comes out, and you would get absolutely destroyed for leaving it out. Then it's like, oh, then she left it out. She didn't tell anybody.
Exactly.
So, you put it in there, you included it. Everybody is hearing about it now because the excerpt went out so they can read that part. How do you feel seeing the public's reaction, or do you try and just avoid?
I have not seen it at all. I've been told some highlights of, well, a lot of people are saying this, a lot of people are saying that, address this on your podcast. But I have genuinely stayed out of the comment section. I've not looked at my For You page or whatever it's called on Instagram nowadays, like popular page it used to be.
Your reels.
Remember when you made it on the popular page and that was cool? But
Can't relate, but
but I also felt like if I opened up about it at the time, everyone's calling me a hypocrite. Well, you're saying Ariana wasn't being open or whatever. Had I opened up about it then, I felt like I also would have been destroyed. How dare you take this narrative away from her? You're just trying to get the Ariana sympathy, and I felt like that moment needed to stay about her. Season 11 really needed to be about her. It was a very difficult season to film because we still had to try and keep the group together because she wouldn't, but rightfully so.
Yeah.
She didn't owe it to anyone. She respected herself. She held her boundaries. And it was really hard for me to see that at the time because I'm going through a devastating heartbreak and I want to tell my best friend, but I also don't want to trauma dump on her when she is going through so much. But in hindsight, looking back, I wish I too gave her more grace because we were both going through something at the same time. But for me, it wasn't so easy to just walk away. We have a child. I had to think about her, and not opening up about it was not protecting Brock, it was protecting my daughter. And, you know, once it's out, you can't put it back. So I felt like as much as I have signed up to tell 100% of my life, tell my story on this show, I don't owe it to anyone to tell it on their timeline. It's on mine. And season 11 was not the time or place. I don't think our marriage would have survived it. I needed more time to process, to figure out, am I strong enough to forgive him? Am I strong enough to walk away? What am I gonna do? And I needed more time than 10 weeks of filming season 11 to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to ask maybe a hard question that is sort of a conversation I've seen online about you revealing this. And people noticed that Brock seemed maybe easy to forgive Scandoval, and then you guys were a little bit more easy to forgive Scandoval in season 11. Did part of that stem from what you were going through?
I think all of it stemmed from that. You know, I felt like, how can I try and forgive my husband, but not try and forgive my best guy friend of 15 years who didn't do it to me, but he did it to my other best friend? And it was just, again, a mind fuck. I was like, I don't know how to release one without releasing both. And I don't think I went about it the right way. If I could go back, there are things I would do differently. And the main thing with Scandoval, it wasn't the affair that was the biggest thing. That was a horrible thing he did. But it was the lack of accountability, time and time again, doubling down the I'm sorry, but. And all of that was so hard because I'm like, I'm trying to give you grace. You're telling Lisa and everyone you're suicidal. I mean, A, why are you still filming a show if you're feeling this way? But B, an affair doesn't warrant the death penalty. So it was just like, it was such a struggle for me. It was the hardest season I've ever filmed. You would think after 10 seasons, by 11, I'd be like, this is a walk in the park. No,
knowing what we know now, it makes a lot of sense of what we and how we watched it all go down with you and everybody else. Did the cast, are they finding out about this, about Brock from the book, or
most of them? Yeah, the only person from Vanderpump who I told ahead of time was Lala.
Okay,
and that was only recently, just like a few months ago.
Yeah. Wow. How did she react to finding that out? Because she had dealt with that as well.
The thing is, I think because so much time had passed since it had happened, and I had already processed it, grieved it, had therapy about it, moved on from it, and decided to forgive and stay, it was easier for her to do the same. Because at first she was like, I am so mad right now. I'm like, I know, but I'm just letting you know this because I don't want you to find out about it in the book. But she also knows how incredible Brock is, not only with Summer, but with Ocean. I mean, he's like another dad to her. And so every time he's with the girls, you know, we just melt. He's such an incredible dad to Summer.
Yeah. Was there any part of you that was like, does Raquel have something to do with this? Like when you found out, because there were those rumors that people just tried making up, and you included that in the book, that people were making up rumors, and that's sort of why Brock came clean.
Yeah, it's kind of what forced his hand, you know? I did absolutely have those thoughts in the back of my mind. Could there have been that one night when Summer and I stayed at my mom's and Brock stayed at the apartment with Raquel? And I'm like, no.
Did that happen?
They were both at the apartment, yes. Because why was it that I needed to stay there with Summer? Oh, because she had her dog. And Graham, it was Graham then.
Yes.
Graham did not like kids.
Graham and kids definitely don't.
No. Graham had bit my sister. I was certainly not having Graham around a baby.
Yeah.
So there was one night when Brock's just not comfortable staying at my parents' house. He's like, I just want to sleep in my own bed. I'm like, yeah, no problem, little sis. You know, I didn't think anything at the time There was even one time where I think I said this on the show. We were all in Vegas and Raquel just like didn't want to go back to her room and she just like crawled on the side of our bed and I was like, okay, guess I'll go in the middle and Brock will go here. And it was just like, she was like a little sister, like Summer in the bed with us. It was like, can we cuddle? And I'm like, okay. It was like, I felt bad for her. And so I definitely babied her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought things about him and Lala, just my intrusive thoughts go to like really gnarly levels. Mm-hmm. But none of that was true, thankfully.
No. But you did hold her hand a lot, and we saw that. And you mentioned in the
yes,
book. We are in the book.
You are mentioned in the book.
In our own studio.
Yes.
You guiding her through the interview because she had mentioned to you that she didn't want to do any more interviews. You can clearly tell she was nervous. And you thought she was just nervous about the Schwartz kiss.
Yes.
But little did you know, she was hiding this
massive
major secret that came to light after you left our studio.
That night.
Which is, it's really so crazy. And I know you completely right about it, your journey of finding out and hearing all these things and moving on from it and everything that happened. And I want to keep talking about how now you have transitioned from the show. You did 11 seasons of Vanderpump Rules. What's something that you think fans still get wrong about you?
I think a huge misconception is that I was a mistress, because in order to be a mistress, I would have had to have been complicit in the affair. I did not know he was married. So that's one thing, being called a home-wrecking whore and a mistress. I don't like that. I don't like that label because that wasn't me. I would never willingly enter into a relationship with someone who is in another relationship, whether married or not. That's not okay. So I think that's a big one. Also, people thinking I'm not a girl's girl, I'm not loyal. Like, you could ask the 150 people who were at my 40th birthday if I'm a girl's girl and a loyal bitch, and they will say yes.
Also, all the celebrities that love you and talk about you, how do you feel about that?
So crazy.
Every time somebody is asked who their favorite person on Vanderpump Rules is, it's you.
Scheana.
Real recognizes
Lady
real.
Gaga.
Seth Rogen.
I know.
Like,
The list goes on.
it's endless. We had somebody in our studio recently who said it in the superhero movies.
Yes.
And I'm blanking on the name right
Karen
now.
Gillan said it, yeah.
And she
Oh,
was like,
yes. I love her. We follow each other.
Yeah.
And she was like, Scheana, and we were like, you are the 500th
Yes.
celebrity to mention
And
Scheana.
guess who I found out just pre-ordered my book? Diane von Furstenberg.
Oh.
I was like, what?
Wow.
Come to my show.
I know. I mean, you're gonna have to like do a special edition version of the book where maybe you get a quote from all these celebrities that are.
I know Demi Lovato is a fan now. Selena Gomez.
I'm sure they'd write you a little forward or something.
Yeah. It really is endless. And, you know, we've seen you cut down to 43 minutes on TV. It's so hard to get who you are in that amount of time. And all these years of filming, how do you think that has shaped you and your identity and your sense of self?
It's beaten my confidence down, I'll say that. You know, when you're on reality TV, you pick apart everything of yourself. I didn't know that I had a bad side. It's not a bad side, it's just a different side until I was on a show and I have people pointing out that my lip is thinner on one side and just different things about me that I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go get lip filler. I need to do this. And I mean, no, I just needed better makeup, to be honest. I am a fan of the lip flip, though. I don't do any filler anymore, but a lip flip is one thing.
There you go.
We all go through phases, though.
Yeah,
Everybody
totally. And it was the
back
time.
At pictures on themselves. They're like, no, that was the time.
Statement necklaces and all of that. But I mean, overall, I think it has made me, I've always been a very empathetic person, but I think it's made me a stronger and even more empathetic person. And that's why every time someone new would come on the show, like, I wanted to welcome them in, but then I'm also trying to appease Stassi, Kristen, and Katie, and they're like, we don't like Lala. I'm like, but I like Lala, but okay, yeah, I don't like Lala. And that's not me. So being someone who stands up for herself, I've gotten better at that. I think even since the show, I'm now 40 and I'm not taking anyone's shit.
And trying to appease your cast members while also trying to appease Lisa Vanderpump.
Oh God, it's impossible.
This was one of what I found extremely interesting reading the book because it's almost like taboo. Nobody talks about their real relationship with Lisa and what's going on, and maybe what Lisa's involvement was like with the Vanderpump cast members as far as what do we want the story to look like. And you detail a little bit more of like, maybe she wasn't telling you exactly what to do, but there was hints towards maybe if you wanted to do this or
Well, I can't tell you what to say, darling, but if it were me, and I'm like, okay, so that's what you want me to say.
Right.
I can't say that, but I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, so I'll tweet that. I'll say that on camera. Like, it was just, I felt like I was being coached in not a manipulative way at the time. Like, I genuinely thought, I'm teacher's pet, I'm her favorite, and she's just trying to help me, you know, be a better reality TV star. This was a new lane for me. I filmed 2 episodes of The Hills, and that was completely scripted. Yeah. So this show was not scripted, and I took those calls very seriously. I've always been a people pleaser. If my boss or producer, whoever asks me to do something, I would always do it. Now I stand my ground a little more, just a little.
What's your relationship? What's your relationship now like with Lisa?
I haven't been close with her in years, to be honest. I mean, the last I saw, she was on Watch What Happens Live saying I'm just one of 700 employees. And of course, I had to write about her in my book because I have nothing else to say.
It's just, it really
makes you shake your head a little bit.
No, I know.
Why?
Well, because it's like those small, sometimes she just turns and you're like, whoa. It takes it to the absolute extreme. And I feel like as you got older through the show, things started to click a little bit more with maybe what Lisa was doing on having you on the show in the first place, right?
Well, yeah, I just found that out like 6-7 months ago that she did know the whole time about Eddie, which I'm like, how could you not? I worked at Villa Blanca for 2.5 years before the show. I remember vividly the kitchen staff passing around like an Us Weekly magazine that had photos of me and Eddie in it. Everyone at Villa Blanca knew, her daughter knew, but she didn't. It was just a coincidence that I got asked to work the same party Brandy was at right before they wanted to shoot a pilot for Vanderpump Rules. How crazy. And I'm like, wow, LA is so small.
What was that like leading right into, Beverly Hills? I remember it, going Beverly Hills right into Vanderpump, all the things about you. Were you excited at the time? Because you were like,
no, I was terrified.
I'm getting my own show.
No, it was really scary because other than Tom, I didn't have any friends going into the show. None of the girls were my friends. They did not want me on their show. And I realized that, okay, I'm going to be the outsider, but also when you were watching Beverly Hills Live, back when we all watched live TV, and it went into the most seamless transition in like reality TV history, that was iconic.
I will always remember that, always.
Yeah, I'm like, I did that. Not Lisa, I did that.
Exactly. It must feel so good to, though, move on and look at that and read and hear and be like, wow, younger Scheana, she went through all these moments and these viral moments and these Scheana-isms and everything that we've gotten through your journey. What would you say to young Scheana now?
To trust her gut and to stand her ground. I think that one thing I've struggled with my whole life is being a people pleaser, trying to always live in the gray, not taking a side, seeing all sides, which I never want to completely lose that part of myself. But sometimes you do have to take a stand and always follow your gut, because there were so many times where, maybe there's a line given to me in an interview and they're like, oh, well, it would be funny if you said this. And I'm like, or it could go wrong, but okay, I'll say it. And it went wrong.
You're thinking of every which way somebody's going to spin.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if it comes out of your mouth, you said those words, you have to be accountable. I can't be like, my producer made me do it. No one's making me do it. They're not holding a gun to my head. They're just like, we think this would be funny.
Right.
That's true.
And I'm like, okay. And then it's not funny.
We're going to wrap up before we get into some fan-submitted questions.
Okay.
We're going to do some rapid-fire, lighthearted questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite Scheana-ism that didn't make it into the book?
Oh, a Scheana-ism. Honestly, I feel like everything made it in the book. I can't think of anything that didn't make it in. Can I phone a friend for help? Mom, sis?
You're like, no, she said it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
I think I did.
Who from the Vanderpump Rules cast has read the book?
No one.
Yes,
I sent them all books. I just talked to Kristen before I got here, and she said that hers still hadn't arrived yet.
Okay.
So I feel like
She's
she'll. And then Allie last night was like, "Where's my book?" I'm like, "Well, if you ordered it on Amazon tomorrow, but the one I'm sending you, it should be there." So. No, Janet was the only person I gave a copy to a few weeks ago. I wanted to get some input on it from a close friend, but also someone who knows me really well, but could have different opinions of, I wish you talked more about this, or I wish, this and that. So she and my cousin Kelly are the only people who really read it before, I think, this week.
Wow.
Us too.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you asked before putting anything in besides Brock?
I did have a sit down with Shay about, 7 months ago. I know, right?
Wow.
I'm like, if those Casa Vega employees watched Vanderpump Rules ever, they were like, oh shit. But I felt like I at least owed him an in-person conversation to let him know I was writing a book and there's going to be a lot in the book. Asked him if there was anything he was worried about being in it because I did still have some time to tweak some things. And he said, and I quote, "I don't give a fuck. It's your book. It's your story." And then I said, "Do you want me to give you a copy before it comes out?" And he said, "Hell yeah, sign that shit."
Yeah. Please sign it.
That's a great place to wrap it up. Scheana, thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. You obviously have your copies. We're talking about My Good Side. We're loving it. Tell your friends. Make sure everybody gets a copy.
Yes.
Order it on Amazon.
Yes. Spread the good word.
Yes.
Scheana, thank you so much.
Thank
You're the
you
best,
so
Scheana.
much.
Thank you, guys.